Hey, Coach.
How's it going?
Good. That was, as it should be, of the 4 practices we've had, that was by far the best practice. We got a lot of work done. I told them after practice what I'm impressed with is we've finally gotten to the point where we can practice fast, we can practice physical, we can practice hard, and guys are standing on their feet. And when you stay on your feet, you avoid injuries, for the most part. So to me, that's a real positive. And I think it shows a couple things. It shows that our level of athleticism has improved, up along the front especially, and I think it shows that our level of maturity has improved because we understand what we're trying to get done. And so those are real positives. So I was impressed with the way they worked today, and we just got to keep pushing every day to get better and better, and I think that they're pretty darn committed to that. So it's exciting to see.
Coach, what progression have you seen from Kenny Clark from last year to this year?
Oh, Kenny, you started to see it halfway through the year last year where he just became really consistent in there. He's so strong and he plays with tremendous technique and pad level. And, probably his wrestling background helps him with leverage, and knee bend. And he's just very dependable. He can eat up 2 blocks. He doesn't get popped out of his gap. He's improved as a pass rusher. So, I think he's an outstanding football player. Often he's overlooked just because, he's a nose tackle, and you don't make necessarily a lot of tackles playing that position, but he has a real impact on our defense.
So starting by the end of his freshman year and starting as a sophomore, did you expect him when you were recruiting him to make an impact this quick?
You know what? The more we watched him, we thought that he would be a guy that could come in and do some things like that. Lee was the starter last year with him, with Kenny, and they would rotate back and forth. And towards the end of the year, like you said, Kenny had kind of assumed that role. I'm not sure you're ever sure how fast a guy is going to progress, but it was nice to see Kenny come along the way he did.
Was Jordan James just getting kind of a rest a little bit today?
His hamstring was a little sore. He did all the individual, and then I'm not sure. I didn't ever get a report that he was hurt. That might have been what was going on over there that you guys were just witnessing. So I'm not sure. I'll get a report in a bit.
And Thomas, Jordan?
His hamstring. Remember last year when he kind of tweaked his ham? I did it a little bit yesterday. It's nothing serious. We wanted to just make sure that he's ready to go before we put him back out here. So, and same thing with Hernandez. Or not Hernandez, with Bornstein. So, nothing serious so far. I think probably the most serious injury right now is Cameron Griffin. They're gonna Saturday when our doctors come up here, they'll evaluate it. It doesn't look like it's real positive, but we'll see. Keep our fingers crossed.
Alex getting a day of rest.
Yeah, the heat got him yesterday, and before we put a guy back out here, we're going to make sure they're fully recovered and rehydrated. And he was doing fine. He was able to eat dinner last night. He was able to eat breakfast and lunch today, keep the food down, but he was a little lightheaded, and you don't mess with the heat, so he'll hopefully be back out here tomorrow. I would think that he would be, but it's nothing serious. Our medical staff does a good job. They caught it quickly, and I think we've learned how to, when to pull guys when it gets hot out here.
I know Eddie missed the spring, but what have you seen from him in these few days?
Brute strength. He's so strong that sometimes he depends on his strength rather than technique. And 2 days ago, he was at a point where he was just trying to just fight everybody. No, I don't mean fist fight, but just brute strength. And then what I saw yesterday in practice is he made a step in the right direction in terms of using his hands, not making it personal between him and the guy, but really executing his technique and taking care of his assignment. And he had an excellent practice yesterday, and today showed up again. I saw him make a couple really nice pass rush moves today, because he is so strong. If he can get a guy off of balance and just club him, they go flying, and he's got that initial quickness. So, when you get Kenny in there and you get Eddie in there and you get Owe in there and Ellis, you've got some big, strong, good-looking guys that can do some things, and it's a good-looking group.
Is this kind of the ideal defensive line that you want for this defense?
It is.
Big, strong guys.
Yeah, it is. It's because we play what we call a 4 or a 4-eye sometimes, which is the head up or inside shade of the tackle with our tackles, when our 3-4. And then as you guys know, when we go to our nickel package, we really only play with 2 defensive linemen. We play with 4 linebackers, unless you know, our next best outside rusher is a guy like Owen, and we leave him outside. So it kind of depends. Like last year with Cassius, you know, sometimes we'd use 3 down, 3 linebackers. Sometimes we'd use 2 down, 4 linebackers. It kind of depends on how we want to mix it. But having guys like Kenny and Eddie and Ellis that can all 3 play inside, whether it be in our Okie or our nickel, I think it's ideal for us.
Are you less concerned about replacing the pass rush than you were maybe a month ago?
No, I'm still concerned. I mean, you know, you just don't replace Cassius and AB and Keenan Graham. Those guys did a lot of good things. I was about to say that the guy that has shown up through 4 practices to me is Aaron Wallace. I've been impressed with the way he's moved around and his attitude. And I think sometimes when you go through what he went through in the spring and it's, you know, something that you love is snatched away from you, you come to appreciate it a little bit more. And I think that happened with him.
Any impressions of Ryan Hoffmeister so far?
The Hoff is, you know, he's the same guy every day. He's consistent. He's hardworking. I've never heard him say a word in 3 years. He just does it by example, and he's steady. He's steady, and he's a great special teams player. He's a captain on this team.
Yeah, it's mostly special teams. Is he going to see some snaps on defense, do you think, this year?
I don't know. You know, we'll see. We'll see where he figures it in. But you can't underestimate his impact on special teams. I mean, he is an unbelievable example every day for these guys. You know, and his presence is felt. Like his teammates respect the heck out of him. You know, because of his attitude, because of his work ethic, because of what he gets done on special teams.
With Eddie, did his foot injury set him back at all? Can you tell?
It doesn't seem to have set him back at all. I mean, I'm sure that, you know, maybe he'd be further along if he'd have gone through spring, but there's nothing noticeable. You don't see him limping. Like I said, those first 2 days, you know, it's kind of, he was just trying to bully everybody, and now he's settled down a little bit into his technique. Maybe he'd have got to that a little bit quicker, but I don't see him being rusty or anything like that. I think he's fine. You know, I think he's really coming along.
I know you probably answered this before, but how much do you enjoy coming out here to San Bernardino?
We love coming out here. I mean, everything about it, really. It's a great campus. They take care of us. The food is excellent. The dorms are great. The facilities are nice, and we've got use of their locker room, their training room. The fields are fantastic. Now that we have that lower field, I think that's a real positive. We haven't been able to move down there and practice yet because when they painted it, they painted the lines too close to the hill. So right now it's a safety issue. You know, you're on a campus that doesn't really have a football team, so sometimes some of those little details, we have to do a better job of instructing them. But eventually we'll get those lines moved over so we can use that lower field because it's a nice field. But just getting away as a team and coming up here, I think it's become something that our players really embrace.
And it's drier.
It's more rugged. You know, it's a little more extreme than Westwood, which might be an understatement. But it works for us. It really works for us. So.
Coach, can I get your reaction on the NCAA ruling? They're going to allow the conferences, I guess, more freedom.
Yeah.
Can I get your reaction on that, sir?
Well, I mean, right now my focus is just on camp. I read it today.
Yes.
We had talked about it at the Pac-12 Media Days with our commissioner, Larry Scott, and he had warned us that, you know, something like this might be coming down the pipeline. There's a lot of smart people working on it. I'm just a football coach, so I'm just going to stick to coaching football.
Coach, how do you plan to use like Nate Yesse in the offense this season?
Nate Yesse, his role has really expanded. You see that catch he made today? That back shoulder throw in the end zone or coming out of the backfield, great catch. He can do so many things. I think he can carry the ball. I think he can block out of the backfield. I think we can use him on the line of scrimmage as an online blocker. And I think we can flex him out and do some things with him in the pass game. You know, he kind of creates mismatches because he's so big and physical, and yet he's athletic and he can run. So I think we're just going to, you know, as we go and as we look at game plans and how we can get him matched up on certain people, we'll come up with unique ways to use him. But he's really going to figure in this year. It's exciting for him.
How do you assess Craig Lee at this point?
I think Craig's really raw. You know, I think he's got a lot of skill. Craig needs to learn how to put his foot in the ground and go downhill. But I've seen tremendous improvement in Craig. You know, really saw it from the fall to the spring, and really from the spring to now, he's really improved. He can run. I think his blocking is getting better in protection. I think he's catching the ball a little bit better. He's still not a natural, but he'll work on that. And You know, I think the big thing with Craig is if he can get to open space, he's going to be hard to catch, and he's got wiggle to him. It's just he's got to learn. Like you see Paul Perkins right now. Paul Perkins has a patience to him, and he knows when to cut up. Craig still doesn't know where the hole's going to be. That's coming, and that just comes with time. But he's a skilled young man, and he works his butt off. So, okay. Bye, everybody.